How is Cyberpunk 2077 1 year later? After the game launched in December of last year in the state it did, I decided to wait a full year and out of genuine curiosity jump into the game to see what my thoughts would be. So let's jump in and start with the positives. The artistry shines through Cyberpunk 2077. From the guitar riffs to the neon lights, Night City is unlike any open world on an aesthetic level. There will be times where you enter a room and just need a minute to walk through everything and soak in the details, when you'll turn on the radio and appreciate the talented musicians brought on board for the sonics and sound of this world, meeting a new companion and getting to listen to the fantastic writing and voice acting that accompanies them. I loved the campaign for this game. The story of V and Johnny Silverhand was excellent, and seeing their bond and growth is the best thing this game has going for it. This is easily my favorite performance from Keanu Reeves to date. You can tell he had a blast playing Johnny, and it rubs off beautifully throughout his performance. And again, the voice acting and motion capture across the board for this game is excellent. There are certain character side missions where performances really get to shine. I enjoyed the themes in this game of resilience and bonds, Johnny Silverhand's mantra about his hatred of large corporations, how he feels they steal our freedoms and lead to the degradation of society, and also, kind of ironically, the similarities between Arasaka and CDPR, a large group of people putting their faith into a company's promise and their goodwill being met with betrayal, lies, and deceit. The most beautiful irony and definitely not intentional. That is, sadly, all I have to say for the positives of my experience with Cyberpunk 2077. Let's get into the Fustercluck. Despite my love of this game's main narrative, you can tell that this plot changed dramatically as soon as Keanu Reeves signed on to play Johnny Silverhand. In the beginning, your best friend is the character of Jackie, who accompanies you throughout the prologue, but they fast forward your bond with this character so fast, which is a shame because I love this character and already knew my interactions with him were on borrowed time because they show that he dies in the main E3 trailer that announced Keanu Reeves as Johnny. You watch montages and play through moments that have nowhere near the impact they should because you've already seen how the prologue will play out if you watch the trailer, making the first 5 hours of the game predictable and sluggish. The prologue with Jackie could have had so much more depth if they could have fleshed things out more, and it's one of the biggest disappointments you're met with right off the bat. I don't blame CD Projekt Red for doing it. They got Keanu Reeves to be Johnny Silverhand. They want their money's worth, I get it. But it's just a shame seeing how the prologue unfolds and how it lacks any punches or surprises because of one trailer. The best way to describe this game and so many of its mechanics and systems is to view it as a restrained puppet. Every time you start to have a semblance of fun in this game, some puppet master in the shadow tugs on a string to remind you how poorly your toy is held together. Bugs and glitches are still everywhere throughout the game. This is one of my favorite glitches that my friend Scott went through.
Don't do it.
And throughout, it's just the coin flip chance of things falling apart. This game looks beautiful when it wants to. Gunplay is fun until you start collecting dozens of the same pistol, shotgun, SMG, and assault rifle. Vehicles look beautiful but handle terribly. There are fast travel zones all over the map, but you have to physically go to a location and can't do it from your map menu, which is beyond moronic and time wasting. Character customization for V is pretty decent until it gets buried underneath junk outfits you equip for stats. Life paths were a straight up lie. They offer up nothing in terms of replay value. They just change your tutorial. Some side missions are great, but if it requires driving a car or getting into a boxing match, I didn't even bother because of how terrible they're designed. There's a variety of gangs, but they all end up being stereotypical and have the same brain-dead, unchallenging AI. The AI, man, that is the thing that corrodes so much of this game. It just does not work. NPCs will frizz out, T-pose, panic for no reason. Enemy AI has zero peripheral vision and isn't challenging because you get bombarded with health inhalers. And this even crosses over into the bosses. They have the same broken AI like every generic fodder enemy you'll mow through. And this problem even infects the final boss of this game, Adam Smasher, who is easily the worst final boss fight in any video game I've ever played, and it's not even close. This dude is hyped up like he's going to steal your kidneys if you even look at him. That he's gonna knock your teeth out and steal your children. But I just spammed the mono wire, treated him like every other thug in the game, then switched to Johnny's pistol when I got him into the crit phase, and then he ended up glitching into a handrail, and I just headshotted him to death. What the There have been hour-long videos made on 2077 addressing the deceit and misinformation that CD Projekt Red used to market the game, as well as a significant lack of promised features and qualities. They overpromised and misled on what would be here and actively conned their players by telling them certain ports of the game would be quality when they were anything but. They set the bar too high, not just for gamers, but for the developers within their own studio. I feel for last-gen buyers of this game. The video game that did that for me was Batman Arkham Knight in 2015. For those who are unaware, the Arkham Saga is one of my favorite video game franchises ever. It had a massive impact on my childhood, and Arkham Knight was easily my most anticipated video game of the past decade. And I made the unfortunate decision to build my first gaming PC in anticipation of Knight, and was heartbroken when the PC port was as bad as it was. I felt betrayed for my loyalty to Rocksteady, and it has still skewed my perspective on that game and studio to this day. You only get one chance to make a first impression, and the issues of Knight stand out so much to me after my initial experience. So I completely understand where millions come from when it comes to their feelings on Cyberpunk. Some got to luck out and have a good experience, while others really didn't. The reason Witcher 3 is regarded as highly as it is because 2 games preceded it where the devs learned, got better at their craft, and by the third had made an extremely polished experience. 2077 has a chance to be great eventually, but it is going to take years. Look at games like No Man's Sky and how Hello Games was able to take that launch and turn it around through hard work and dedication. I want Cyberpunk to have a similar redemption arc and be a game that most people can look at fondly in 4 to 5 years. But CDPR needs to have massive internal changes for the devs, management, and priorities before that can happen. I can praise the hardworking developers, designers, artists, and musicians who clearly poured their heart and soul into this project, and whose artistry somehow is still able to gleam through the cracks despite this title's fractured technical state. But I can also condemn CD Projekt Red's leadership, management, and financiers for lying about the quality of their product and their malpractice that led to one of the most catastrophic launches of a video game. Cyberpunk currently is a lesson on what not to do, but maybe in a few years it will be a lesson on how to make a comeback. Time will tell. This game is such a pendulum swing of back and forths. In one moment you can be having so much fun and be completely immersed, and seconds later, out of nowhere, have that moment be robbed or corrupted because of this game's limitations. So I would recommend that if you've waited a year to play Cyberpunk, that you keep waiting. It's going to be a while before this game ends up being what was promised, and if you've waited this long, you will be rewarded for waiting longer until this game is better and you don't have to deal with the bombardment of issues that millions have suffered with. And also, if you're someone who refuses to play this game on principle because of CDPR's lies, stick to those principles. Johnny Silverhand would be proud of you for sticking it to the corpos. And as for me, I'll return to Night City one day, but it's going to be a while before I do so.
Well, Night City. Good night and good luck.
Thank you for watching. This was easily one of the biggest projects I've worked on, and I had a blast somehow. Let me know down below how you feel. YouTube is making some weird changes recently with removing dislikes, but I read comments, so let me know how you feel about 2077. Positive, negative, or if you just need to vent. This year's been a tough one for many, so I hope you can find a game and be able to spend time with your loved ones for this holiday season. You are awesome, amazing, stay safe, and have a blessed day.